when did we plot the results of the Simulink simulation run?
I think at 1:30.
Okay, yeah, but actually we did it right after the simulation run, which was perhaps at 1:30. Therefore, since it was after the simulation run, the step is called post-processing. The opposite process is called pre-processing, which is done before the simulation. Typically, what you do before the simulation is to determine the parameters of the simulation. As you saw in the previous units, we can define the parameters in the simulation model directly in the Matlab workspace or in the simulation model's model workspace.
Okay, let's do this. Right here I have a little script that assigns values to M, D and C. Before we run the script, we just repeat our plot command to have a look on how our plot looked.
And that was the plot that we got from exporting with the previous parameters of M, D and C all
to 1.
And we see the maximum precision is something between 20 to 25 meters or 23 meters or something
exactly.
like that.
So keep this in mind, the 25. Okay. And now I take these parameters. These are the Matlab commands to assign these values to these parameters. I can run the script.
And you assign them to the model workspace. Not to the Matlab workspace, but to the model workspace.
Yes, and I also run the simulation with this command here.
Okay.
So once I've done that, I get a new curve here, and you see right now there's only the 8 here, and the generate plot command was already included in this script. So it's a kind of pre-processing and post-processing, if you like.
So the script does all in one.
Okay. So
what happens if I didn't define these variables in my model workspace beforehand?
If they are missing. So this would look like such a thing, where in the Model Explorer, Model Workspace, we wouldn't have these variables.
Yes.
I just delete them with the delete button. And I have to remember to store this also.
Yes.
You saw the sign disappeared here.
Stored, yes.
So, and most likely we would expect now, if we want to assign a value to a variable that doesn't exist, that we get an error message.
Yes, that's what we would expect.
But once we run it, it just worked,
so it works and
like a miracle.
Yeah,
so if we look again here, what we find out is that in the Model Explorer, in the Model Workspace, these variables have been generated for us.
It generates the variables again if they don't exist. Okay.
But let me show you another thing. I remove these again. Don't forget to save this.
Yes.
And now I take another script. No. I'm sorry. Here I have to go. I take another script, pre-processing in the base workspace.
Okay, now it was in the Matlab space workspace, yes.
Now I just assign variables of the Matlab workspace. And what's happening right now.
Okay, I think you have to change the name of the
model. This should be only MSD. That's an old version here. So if we run this, we get the same plot. But looking back at the Simulink, going to the workspace, model workspace now is empty.
Right. And in the base workspace now we find,
these are the variables of the Matlab workspace.
Okay.
Right here is a more advanced script. In this script, there are several values for D, C, and M. So all 3 parameters are changed, and then we get a set of different simulation runs. So I start the script with F5. Right here you see the busy sign while it's calculating, and right here you see we have a plot with several combinations of parameters.
Yes.
And several runs of Simulink, all done within one script.
Okay, so we can combine pre-processing, running the simulation, post-processing, and in the pre-processing step, variate the parameters and doing the simulations for every parameter and doing the post-processing in one final step.
It's a little bit tricky in this line where we have to concatenate all the strings for the legend, but that's not in the Simulink part. That is just Matlab.
That's an interesting Matlab feature, I see.
Okay, you have just seen how to use parameters from the Matlab workspace. If you want to use signals instead of parameters, you can also use the from workspace block. It works in the same way as the blocks that we just described. You can also use the to file and from file blocks if you want to export data to some file or import data from some file.
And it works similar than like the from workspace and to workspace blocks.
Yes.
Okay, so indeed these export and import capabilities of Simulink are very, very nice. That way we can integrate our Simulink models into larger process chains. We went through the Matlab part quite quickly. If you're not familiar with Matlab, you can skip the pre- and post-processing part for the time being, or what we recommend, you can have a look at our MOOC modeling and simulation using Matlab.
It's excellent.
We recommend to have a look at this MOOC.
He wants to have the last word.